Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It is a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And this game, it will make you understand Rocky's words very well. Hello, I am Locke and this is Maya, the channel where we take so long to talk about games that they are already yesterday's news, but I don't care about that. Oh, and subscribe. Let me try and reach 100 before New Year's, even though that's kinda impossible right now. And today I'm talking about one of the biggest contenders for Game of the Year 2020, Hades. Hades was made by Supergiant Games, the producers and creators of some of the most amazing indie games out there, like Bastion and Transistor and that other one that no one played, Pyre I think with a Y. Every single game by them is a piece of art. They always manage to subvert the genres of their games in a really interesting way, and add some elements not very common to the indie titles like voice work and decent gameplay. And Hades is a roguelite. It's kinda like a roguelike, but less permadeathy. Is that a word? In Hades, you play as Zagreus, the son of Hades, who decides he needs to leave the underworld, or hell if you will. But the Greeks usually call the place Hades as well, which might be confusing for newcomers to their faith, and especially because the god and the place have the same name, whatever. And the game narrates your many tryouts on escaping the damned place. And every time you die, you are dragged back to the depths of the place to face your unimpressed and disappointed father.
I told you nobody gets out of here, whether alive or dead. So how was your wanton ransacking of my domain?
Just like in real life. For those who have dads, of course, but Zagreus' never-ending rebellion takes him ever closer to the surface on his travels through the underworld. During those travels, Zagreus receives aids from his extended family, the gods of Olympus, ranging from the almighty Zeus to the much more fun at parties Dionysius. Each god gives you one boom, an upgrade of a certain kind that can affect your weapon attacks, your dash, your projectile, or some other passive effects when you meet them. And these booms are the more known random element in this roguelike game. You never know if you have Artemis' critical hits or Athena's deflection powers. Besides god booms, you can get upgrades to the many godly weapons Zagreus uses and upgrades to the booms themselves in the many rooms you will find in the game. You also collect coins, darkness, and gemstones during your runs. Coins are used on the run and they aren't carried beyond your death. You buy items from Charon, the boatman of the river Styx, with coins that are used only during your present run, like I said. Darkness and gemstones are the stuff that stays with your dead body to work on the last rogue part of the game. Darkness buys you permanent upgrades on Nyx's mirror, granting you the various booms that Night Incarnate can bring to you. And gemstones are used to upgrade and change certain parts of the map on Hades, not so humble abode below Tartarus, and other upgrades to the map itself. The game explains the death and retry system most roguelikes use inside its own story, also explaining why Zagreus' abilities grow over time, and that is already commendable, but this is not the only place where Hades' exquisite story mingles with its gameplay. In truth, nothing ever happens without a reason in the game's plot and continuous evolution. Characters often talk about the different weapons you have equipped from your last run. Gods will talk to you about your booms and encounters with their brothers, sons, and cousins, and things will often happen in different ways, and that makes the game less repetitive in nature. It makes it seamless, with thousands of dialogue interactions, all fully voiced. and many different small events and differences between runs, like bosses changing forms, new enemies, new gods, and new booms. The game manages to make what is usually a very tedious process of trial and error into an engaging activity, and that is extremely tricky from a game design's point of view. The meat of the game is, of course, its combat. During a run of Hades, you will often go from room to room, facing ever-increasing and procedurally generated challenges throughout the game's 4 locations: Tartarus, Asphodel, Elysian, and the Temple of Styx. Each location has a different boss fight and intense enemies, traps, and characters to meet. To fight in those runs, Zagreus is armed with one of the 6 weapons available in the game. You begin with only Stygius, the Blade of the Underworld, but quickly enable the other 5 weapons, and each one of them brings something new to the table. Unlike Devil May Cry though, you can only use one per run, and you will quickly find the one more suitable to your playstyle and probably will stick to that. Maybe you like to stay far away from enemies and hit them with Varafa, the Eternal Spear, or you might like it personal and fight only with Malpham, the Twin Fists. No matter what you choose, the game can work with any choice, and the rules remain the same. To get out of the underworld, you need to fight. You have a dash action, a normal attack, and a special move, and a limited projectile attack. Each can be upgraded by the gods with booms and are different for each of the game's 6 infernal arms and their other aspects that you enable later in the game. Each room brings new challenges, and you will feel yourself getting better run after run, until you begin to kill things automatically, and then the game kicks you in the balls and bring new stuff to the table in very ingenious ways. New enemies appear, the bosses change their fighting strategies and happen to have new forms. New shit happens in the game in general, and it manages to keep you entertained, and that is something no one can ever take away from it. And you need to understand where I come from in this review. I personally hate roguelikes. No matter what roguelike we are talking about, I hate them all. It's the genre that I find the most insufferable, and I was ready to ignore Hades forever. But after seeing some of the reviews, I was convinced it could be something. And boy, am I not surprised by the huge amount of Game of the Year awards this is receiving. Because unlike the other contenders from this year, not only is Hades a complete game, it is also a revolution to a whole genre and sets a new standard for all the other roguelikes out there to follow. Along its dance combat system, the game also features a social interaction system, more commonly known as a visual novel system. Usually limited to pervy Japanese games and Persona, it works really well here, creating new dialogue options between Zagreus and his family and friends from the underworld. You increase their affinity levels by gifting them nectar, an item that you get in the map on your many runs of the game. And that initially unlocks the many keepsakes of the game, items that give you passive booms for your runs and are upgraded the more you use them. And the more you befriend these characters and give them more nectar, the more they can help you. And then at some point they will ask you to do a quest in your run, and after that is done, you can unlock some companions depending on who you are helping, that act as your friends in your journey through the underworld. So the visual novel system is not just a thing apart from the game, but also an important feature that works intrinsically with it. No system in Hades is ever ignored. Everything works in a very tight way with any part of the game, and that is no easy feat, considering this is, on its deepest part, a game about constant repetition. Sound-wise, this game is the same as other games from its studio, unbelievably good. The narrator and Hades' voice comes from my favorite voice actor in the world, Logan Cunningham, the one responsible for the narration voice in Bastion.
Where do you think you are? Who do you think you're talking to? Nobody gets out of my domain, whether alive or dead. You wish to learn the hard way? Fine. Then go. Get out. Don't let me stop you.
Wasn't planning on it, Father.
Love you, Logan. And the game's score features some really action-packed music, clearly inspired by heavy metal with distorted guitars and heavy drums. The music guarantees you will get in the mood for some destruction during your runs, and I don't get tired of saying that, fully fucking voiced thousands of lines in the game complement that very well. Supergiant Games made a repetitive and hard-as-nails task become something you can really enjoy, no matter where you come from. This is a game that has something for every kind of player. An interesting story, challenging gameplay, rewards that really make you feel like you are advancing something and not just upgrading numbers slightly, and more. Hades is a complete package. No other roguelike gets close to anything this gives you, and it beats almost anything 2020 threw at us. And 2020 wasn't weak on games, it had most of the best games from the last decade in a single year. I rate Hades a 10 out of 10, much like any other reviewer actually, but for me this is a special verdict. Supergiant Games managed to make me enjoy an experience that I usually hate very much. Enjoy repeating the same battles over and over just to see if Eurydice will forgive Orpheus or if Theseus will stop being a fucking jerk. This game makes the repetitive task of keep going through the same motions seem different every time. And it's not just its awesome procedurally generated maps and encounters that make this magic happen. It is Hades' unique setting, story, and delivery that makes each run feel unique from the last. From your first fight with Megara to your final showdown with the god of the underworld, this game will manage to keep you on your toes the whole way, with some breathing moments along the journey that only make it better. So, check Hades out right now. It's available on Steam, and it will probably be on sale on the winter sale today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. Enjoy your holidays with lots of food, booze, and hopefully your family, if the thing permits it. This was a hard year, but we are close to the end here, so I'll see you all next time.